All right, for my third pick and the sixth and final overall of the Week 5 Sunday six-pack presented by FanDuel, I am obviously going with the Washington Commanders plus 2.5. Just like you, going back to the well. My nemesis has been the Titans. It was okay the first 2 weeks, not the last two.
I always warn you. I always warn you against the Colts, though. Every time I warn you, I'm like, just don't do it. It's something about the Colts and the Titans. Like,
I've downgraded the Titans and lost money on them the past 2 weeks. The Raiders game was fine with it. Like they scored 3 touchdowns in the red zone early. The Raiders scored 2 in 6 chances, and Waller drops a touchdown, and they don't get it too late. I don't hate the Raiders play that I had. I mean, Vrabel does well as a dog, and he overperformed again last week against the Colts. They came out with a good scripted portion of the game. And then they did nothing, absolutely nothing. And they got destroyed in yardage. They got 3 Colts turnovers. They got short fields to start the game, build a lead, and then barely hung on against the corpse of Matt Ryan. And by the way, in that game, Shaq Leonard, who I was excited at back, goes out early on. DeForest Buckner can only play 15 snaps. They're 2 best defensive players. But look, the Titans, if you look, their scripted portion has been really good. Really good. What did I just say about the Cowboys? But now people have tape on them. Here, I'll tell you what to do, Washington. I know you don't really scout that much. Well, in the scripted portion of the game, they're going to try to throw it to Henry and Hilliard. That's what they're going to do early on. They're not really going to do it the rest of the game, but they're going to have really good, well-schemed plays to get them the ball in space with short passes. And they've been able to build leads. I think they're number 1 in EPA per play in the first quarter. After the first quarter, but by the way, overall, the Titans are 30th in EPA per play on defense. They are down in the dumpster in the EPA per play range with Seattle and Detroit. Their defense is terrible. Their offense after the first quarter is dead last in EPA per play. And now you lose Treylon Burks. So this line is crazy to me. The Commanders were just 3-point underdogs and at Dallas, everyone's Super Bowl winner with Cooper Rush. At Dallas, they were catching 3. I didn't think they deserved to get blown out. I just told you about all the things that won't show up in the box score. Now, Tennessee is laying 3. Now, by the way, the contest, this is plus 2.5. Doesn't matter. You either cover or you don't. It's good. I'm going to wait for 3. There's no sense in hitting it right now. I think it's the same price because Tennessee won 2 games in a row, and I think fraudulent fashion, still one of the worst defenses in the league. They don't have any edge rush, which is huge here because the Washington offensive line is all banged up. Carson Wentz under pressure is obviously a disaster. But I'm fading Vrabel as a favorite here on the road. This is usually the spot that it does work. As a favorite, he is nowhere close to as successful. I think that the perception on these 2 teams, and look, I think Washington is terrible, but Washington beat Jacksonville at home week 1.
Oh,
does everyone forget that? Then everyone's like Jacksonville. No, but listen, but now everyone's like Jacksonville is so good. But Washington beat them. The Eagles are the greatest team in the history of football. Okay, they blew out Washington. Okay, and like I just think that, and what has really caused Washington problems in that game. I mean, Wentz has been awful, by the way. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say Washington is any good. Their EPA per play for the Washington offense, negative 0.380. There's a second worst is Carolina, negative 0.231. Success rate, how about 25% success rate? Denver's second worst, 34%. Like pathetic offensive numbers. But I think that they'll be able to move the ball on this Tennessee defense enough to win this game. And Tennessee just doesn't warrant this. And there's no Treylon Burks, it's just like they got to score 14 points early, throwing it to Henry. And by the way, two big matchup things here is that, and like I said, I was impressed with Washington last week. Is that, and they were playing a Dallas team that gets a ton of pressure. They play the Eagles that get a ton of pressure. the Titans don't get a lot of pressure off the edge, which is huge. And the Washington run defense has been elite. And I actually like some of their pieces in their secondary, like Curl. St. Juste, I think, is a stud. He had both of those picks last week that got overturned for William Jackson illegal contacts. And so I like some of the pieces in their secondary, but their run defense has been phenomenal. I mean, I was shocked when I was digging into some of the numbers because I was looking at I watched the whole Dallas game and I'm like, Dallas can't run the ball. Why? Dallas can't run the ball at all. And then I went back to the Philly game. Philly couldn't run the ball. I think they held both. It's 2.2 yards per carry in both games combined. So, and if you look for the season, Washington's run defense first in success rate, fourth in EPA per rush. Okay, let's shut down Henry here. Who's Tannehill throwing it to? Make sure you cover their backs in the early part of the game because Tennessee's not going to score. I don't think Tennessee scored in the second half since week 1 against the Giants. Like they haven't scored a point in the second half. So yeah, I think that there's too much value here with Washington. They stink, but this is the time to buy them. It might be the first and only time I bet them all year, but I think this is the time. Also, Titans +4 in turnover margin in their non-3 Bills games. Commanders are -6. You're going to get that with Wentz, but they will get some turnovers here coming up, and Tennessee will turn it over some. All of Washington's turnovers keep getting overturned by penalties. So yeah, I'm back in Washington here. Wait for the 3. You'll see it come in the app if it ever comes. If it doesn't come, I'm still playing it, and I'm playing the contest. It does, and we explain this all the time, but it doesn't matter for this contest that I'm taking +2.5 or +3 because you either cover or you don't. If I had to lock it in right now, I would still bet it. But I'm going to wait. There's no point in not waiting. Give me Washington as a home pup here in a game I think that they should be favored in.